over this crime conference over with a moment of silence for the people that ain't here, y'all.
Wait a minute now. Who in charge now? Who running the show here?
Stand off to the side right there.
There you go.
Just bear with us as we get started. Good morning.
Morning.
I want to thank all of the members of the media, community members, elected officials, the Blue family for supporting us today. I am Zakiya Summers. As a resident of West Jackson and as secretary of the Jane Avenue Neighborhood Association, we stand here in solidarity with the Capitol Street Coalition and in support of the Blue family who was unable to make it out this morning due to some other circumstances. We are here today as a collective to bring attention to the collateral consequences and in this instance, the deadly effects of police pursuits in our community and the need for change. These police pursuits are a safety issue, and as members of this community, we say no more. Mr. Blue's death could have totally been prevented if law enforcement agencies could put their I'm right, you're wrong mentality to the side and prioritize what's most important and what we as citizens pay them and depend on them to do, which is to keep all citizens safe. Just like we go to the doctor, we get our checkups, we take our screenings, all in an effort to prevent a serious condition or deadly disease from entering our body. It's time now that we come to the table as a community to take those preventative measures so that we can protect all of our lives. We should not have to hold another vigil to celebrate the life of one of our neighbors because neighboring law enforcement agencies are refusing to have a regard for human life. To Clinton Mayor Phil Fisher, Interim Chief Michael Gill, Clinton officers involved in the police chase that ultimately led to the killing of Mr. Blue, and to all other elected officials and police officers in the Jackson metro area, I want you to take a second to look at your hands. Now look at your arms, your legs, your feet. Feel your heart pumping inside of your body. If you have children or other loved ones around you, take a moment to look into their eyes. Mr. Blue had hands just like you. He had arms, legs, and feet. His heart pumped, and he had relatives and friends who cared about him, as is evident here today. The difference is that Mr. Blue will never be able to use his hands to do his job at Nissan anymore. His heart is no longer pumping. His relatives, friends, and those who cared about him won't be able to see him anymore. The Jim Hill class of 2000 won't see him at another reunion. His Masonic brothers won't be able to share in any more community outreach activities with him. What happened to Mr. Blue could have happened to me, it could have happened to you, it could have happened to any one of us or any one of our loved ones. There are other strategic ways to handle police pursuits, and they don't have to end with someone losing their life. Of course, law enforcement are expected to follow the law. And regardless of what the state law allows, I'm calling you to a higher law, a moral law that says that we hold human life in a much higher regard. Today, the Capitol Street Coalition is demanding that the Clinton Police Department come forth with the truth surrounding this incident, that surrounding agencies value life over property and work together with the Jackson Police Department and all elected officials to ensure that Mr. Blue's death is not in vain and that no one else is killed due to another police pursuit of a minor offense. I want to leave you with this, Romans 14:19. Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and mutual edification. Now I'd like to bring to the podium Clinton resident, Mr. C. Lee McInnes, for a few words.
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to address just 3 very specific points. The first point is about the loss of innocent life. USA Today says that between 1979 and 2013, 5,206 innocent bystanders were killed because of high-speed chases. That's 153 deaths a year. What we need to understand is that we're not against policing, but any method that results in 153 deaths a year is not an effective policing method, especially with the technology that we have today. We can easily coordinate the procedures and methods by technology and not by high-speed chases. Number 2, we need to evaluate risk versus reward. Yes, this person committed a crime, but do we really want people to die by shoplifting? I don't want Chief Vance to die because of shoplifting. I don't want any of the valued police officers to die because of shoplifting. At some point, we have to understand as a civilization that it is not okay for somebody to die because of a computer. So we need better policies so that we not only protect the citizens, but we also protect the law enforcement. And finally, I'm here as a Clinton resident. It's not just about Jackson. I don't want high-speed chases in my city of Clinton. I don't want high-speed chases in Hinds County. I don't want high-speed chases in Mississippi. And as a person who has an honorable discharge from the Mississippi National Guard, I don't want high-speed chases in America. Why? Because the risk outweighs the reward, and we are killing 153 people a year for petty crimes. We support law enforcement, we support laws, but we have to evaluate as a community when the procedures we have do more harm than do more good. Thank you.
Thank you, C. Lee. Councilman Stamps.
Thank you very much. First, my condolences to the family, because someone doesn't have a father today. Someone doesn't have a son today, or a brother. That's the first thing that we must always keep in our minds, is that someone is not here. Secondly, we have to continue to urge folks to do the right thing. Common sense should always prevail. Common sense isn't normal in government a lot of times, but it should always prevail. So I'm encouraging folks to speak a universal language. A universal language that will make Clinton a place where people want to live, work, and play. A universal language of use your dollars. Affect the economics of the city of Clinton until the policies of the city of Clinton change. And it's just not go just to Clinton. Every surrounding city who refuses to use common sense policies must be economically challenged. Economically challenged. Because it's not safe for you to shop there. Clinton is a Ferguson waiting to happen. Clinton is a majority or a city with a high minority population and oppressive police tactics. It steps away from a Mike Brown. It's only a matter of time. If this culture does not change, and does not change quickly. Now, it seems to me that there are some elected officials and police officials who want to maintain the culture. Well, what we must make them understand is that culture is not acceptable. Misdemeanor property crimes are not worth human life. You shouldn't be going 120 miles per hour in Clinton or Jackson. Because we got news copters and we got radios. I've never seen anyone outrun a radio. No matter what kind of fast vehicle they have, they will not outrun a radio or even a text message. We got some great police officers in the metro area, but common sense must prevail in their actions. But also, I want to call on the Clinton residents, like Mr. McGinnis. You're going to have to vote these policies out. Municipal elections are coming up. And those who support these kinds of oppressive policies need to understand that there are people in their cities who do not agree. That's the true thing, not just for Clinton, but for all the surrounding areas. There's good white folks and black folks in these areas who do not agree with these activities. And they must come together to use the power of their vote and the power of their dollar to make common sense make sense in the hearts and minds of the people in the decision-making processes of these governments. So I call upon all surrounding areas to stand up for justice, stand up for righteousness, and do what's right. Urge your elected officials, your police chiefs, and the overall culture in the police departments to not make our metro area a Ferguson by oppressive police tactics and help us move Mississippi forward. We spend too much time fussing amongst each other in the metro area when we should be getting into the global marketplace. We should be doing business in China and Japan, but we're so busy fussing over airports and streets and policing that we can't rise above this culture. Mississippi will never move forward with this mindset, this internal struggle. The rest of the world is moving and leaving Mississippi behind because of this culture of oppression. I'll leave you with this. I say often that Mississippi is still a slave state. They abolished slavery but enslaved everybody with the seeds of hatred and oppression that have poisoned the minds of good white folks and good black folks to always be steered because of anger, hatred, and fear. We got to bond together and urge this is just not just this issue, but on every issue, oppression must end. So I ask everyone, use the power of your dollars and the power of your vote to vote these oppressive policies out in the whole state of Mississippi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Stamps. We also have Mr. Hollis Watkins here, and if he would like to give any words, we want to open the floor to him. Mr. Watkins.
Thank you very much. I didn't come prepared to say anything, but I will say a few words. I grew up in the second stage of slavery, which was called sharecropping. I learned that as a part of the slavery mentality and that system that exists, human lives, especially the lives of black people, were not valued above things. And it seemed as if we have not already gotten back to that stage, are fastly approaching that stage. And I want to ask all of us who are conscious, well-minded, well-thinking people, not just Jackson, not just Clinton, not just the surrounding area, but at least all across Mississippi, is to not allow this kind of attitude, not this kind of thing to continue to emerge and exist, because this is a thing that could lead to all-out war, which is something we don't need, and hopefully we all don't want. But if you look back at periods of slavery, many of those felt that they were engaged in outright warfare. I don't want to see us go back to that stage because I know it's not necessary. All we have to do is make sure that those that don't seem to know and understand the reality of human life is to have conversations and use whatever pressure is necessary to make sure that we don't continue to lose innocent lives, exchanging one's life for a thing. So this is what I'm asking us to do, is to be serious about it and for each of us to think, what would I say, what would I do, how would I feel if this life that has been lost was my son, my daughter, my wife, my mother, any of my relatives, or the life of a good neighbor that was right next door. So I know unequivocally that if we make up in our minds, just with the small number of us that's here today, if we make up in our minds that time is out for this nonsense, and we're going to make sure that it does not continue, I guarantee you that if we, this small group, all work together in a unified manner, we can bring others into that same line of thinking, and we will make sure that this sinless attitude that we have will eradicate and wipe out the sinful thinking and the sinful attitude that we have. Most of us, based on my knowledge and understanding of the people that I see here today, professes to be religious. And if we are religious and allow this to go on, then it poses a question as far as I'm concerned. What is your religion? And who is your God? Because the God that I serve, I know does not condone this kind of sinful, merciless killing, not just of black people, but people in general. Because I can't think about myself, for example, when I think only in terms of blackness. Because when I go just a little bit deep into my roots, on one side I run out of black very, very quickly. So I'm talking about all of us. We profess that we're going to do certain things. So we have to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable and hold others accountable to doing that which is right, and put Mississippi on the road to becoming the state that it truly can become because of the resources that is in Mississippi. So thank you, and I look forward to us working together to make Jackson, Clinton, Mississippi, and ultimately the whole world a much better place for us to live. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Cassandra Welchland. I am a resident of West Jackson and also the president of Capital Neighbors Association. I will keep my remarks brief, as most of what has been said I'm in agreement with. I'm here to kind of talk about, as a community, what our next steps are going to be. As we all have heard today, we are now bearing witness to a tragedy as a result of bad practices and policies. Jackson is now bearing witness to that. West Jackson is now bearing witness to that. Flowood bared witness to that in 2012 at the killing of Melinda Clark in a high-speed car chase where she was going to pick up her children from school. And Madison police was chasing through these neighborhoods and killed her on the corner or on Lakeland Drive on Grants Ferry Road. They've bared witness to it. And we don't want to bear witness to that kind of tragedy anymore. Police took an oath to protect and serve our community. That didn't happen Monday. It didn't happen in 2012. And we have to take a deeper look at developing best practices that lead to minimum impact on the community to preserve life, but yet achieves the goal of capturing the persons who possibly committed the crime. This can be done within Clinton, Madison, Rankin County. Jackson has set the example by developing such a policy and a practice, and we're asking our tri-county cities to do the same. And as a coalition, we've developed some short-term and some long-term goals. Immediately, our intention is to begin to request meetings with these police departments and local governments. And we're going to employ them to adopt best practices and policies like that of the Jackson Police Department, to not conduct chases across our city lines, and to work with Jackson Police Departments and the surrounding districts to apprehend the suspects. Police from nearby cities do not have the right to cross into our jurisdictions and kill innocent people. It's unacceptable. Secondly, we're going to hold community meetings to educate ourselves on the risks of high-speed chases and on the current law. Lastly, our ultimate goal is to change this law. We will work with our legislative delegation to introduce legislation next session to get this law changed. This has impacted us tremendously. Again, I want to ask Madison, Rankin, those surrounding cities to join our coalition. We know that you don't want to lose a life due to this. This is a public safety issue. Join us in this coalition to change this law, because our families matter and we matter to each other. We want the public, it's up to us, the public, to demand our police officers and our local governments to live up to the oath to protect and serve, to change the law, and to do no harm. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welchland. We also want to highlight that the family will be holding a candlelight vigil this evening, starting at 7:30. It's going to be at the corner of Tennessee Avenue and Capitol Street, where Mr. Blue was killed, which is just the next block up. At this time, we can take questions. If not, we will close out our press conference and do individual interviews. Are there any questions? Okay, I want to... Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I want to give all honor and praise to God, who is my high power today. And my question is, why do it take something like this for us to come together? This has been happening since the beginning of time. It's because we need prayer. We need to go to church. We need Jesus. We can't hold these ignorant individuals accountable for their negligence. You know, people are going to do what they have to do. It could have been me in that car. I'm standing here being as honest as I could. I have shopped it before because I was hungry. You know, but to chase me down and gun me down because you think you have a legitimate reason to do something your heart wanted to do in the first place, is just not acceptable. So I just want to give a moment of silence for Mr. Blue and his family, because he'll never be here again. But like my grandmother said, I just want to thank God for Jesus, and I want to pray for them people who think that it was okay, because it's not. It's not okay. And I don't really have any questions, but we need is answers. We study, if you're not part of the problem, the solution, you got to be part of the problem. So I can stand here and ask God to give me words to say, but ain't nothing to say. He need actions. We need act. We can stand here and talk to the mic turn blue. But we need prayer. We just need prayer, not just for Jackson, for the whole world. We need Jesus.
Thank you. I also want to recognize our coalition partners. We have ZAP here. We also have Mr. Griffin, who's represented Supervisor Peggy Calhoun of District 3. We have some Bishop Crudibus here. We have the Democratic Party that's represented here. We also have the Malcolm X Grassroots and Chief Vance, Chief Vance and police officers, of course. Thank you so much, Chief Vance, for all you do. And thank you to all my colleagues who were able to come out. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Let me get this guy's name.